Have you ever looked at a company you thought you knew pretty well, like Mercado Libre, and then suddenly realized its real power, its strategic core, was actually hiding in plain sight all along? Well, get ready, because today we're doing just that. We're taking a deep dive. We're really uncovering the incredible story of Mercado Pago.
That's absolutely right. And for this deep dive, our mission is, well, it's to truly unpack how Mercado Pago has evolved.
Yeah.
It's not just a simple payment processor anymore, not by a long shot. It's really become this indispensable financial and strategic backbone for the whole Mercado Libre ecosystem.
Okay.
So we're going to explore its multifaceted importance, which goes way beyond just, handling transactions. We'll see how it fuels their long-term growth, their profitability, all across Latin America.
To guide us through this, we've gathered a stack of really fascinating sources. We're talking in-depth reports, detailed financial analyses, insights that really pull back the curtain on this powerhouse.
Exactly. So let's start maybe with the basics, or what seems basic. Lots of people, and it's understandable, casually call Mercado Libre the Amazon of Latin America.
Right. It's the easy comparison.
It is, but that label, while it's a convenient shortcut, it really oversimplifies what the company truly is. It's much, much more accurate to describe it as a vertically integrated AI-native commerce and fintech platform.
Okay, wow. That immediately changes the perspective, doesn't it? It's not just another e-commerce player, but something, much more specialized, almost purpose-built.
Purpose-built is a great way to put it.
And what seems crucial, based on our sources, is that it wasn't just built to scale up like Amazon did.
Yeah.
It was specifically engineered to address fundamental infrastructure, financial inclusion, and user personalization challenges, things really unique to those Latin American emerging markets.
Precisely. They had to build solutions for problems that, frankly, companies like Amazon just didn't face in the same way in their early days in the US or Europe.
Makes sense.
And that naturally leads to its true structure as this really interconnected ecosystem. You see, the core e-commerce marketplace, then you have the logistics arm, Mercado Envios, the credit division, Mercado Crédito, and even Mercado Ads, their advertising platform.
They're all linked.
Deeply intertwined. It's not just, a collection of separate services. It's a unified, synergistic whole.
Okay, so that brings us right to Mercado Pago. Its origin story, it sounds like it was really born out of necessity. Can you maybe paint a picture for us? What was the online payment landscape like in Latin America back when Mercado Libre started, around 2004?
Oh, it was pretty barren, honestly. Online payment systems were, virtually non-existent in the region.
Really?
Yeah, and frankly, the logistics infrastructure wasn't ready for widespread e-commerce either. It was just a very fragmented environment, low trust.
So a fundamental problem. How do you get people to buy and sell online if they literally can't pay securely,
Right.
or they don't trust the whole process?
Exactly. So instead of trying to, bolt on some third-party payment provider, which many companies might do in more developed markets, they made this huge strategic call
To build their own.
to build their own in-house. And the thinking was this gave them unparalleled control over the entire transaction process,
Okay.
which meant they could really dig deep, understand regional payment behaviors, innovate super quickly, adapt.
So what was its first job then?
Mercado Pago's initial purpose was basically an escrow mechanism. It held the funds until the transaction was complete.
Ah, okay. To build confidence.
Exactly. Fostering trust, directly addressing those low levels of financial inclusion and that general lack of consumer confidence that really plagued online commerce in the region back then. It was fundamental, building the very foundation of trust.
That's an incredible start. Building trust from scratch in a totally new market like that. But it sounds like Mercado Pago became, a lot more than just an escrow service. How does it function now as this essential financial glue holding the whole ecosystem together?
Yeah, it really did evolve. And what's truly fascinating now is how it creates this self-reinforcing flywheel effect.
Yeah.
Think about it like this. Every single transaction that Mercado Pago facilitates on the Mercado Libre platform, it generates incredibly valuable data about both the buyer and the seller. And this data isn't just sitting there gathering dust. It's absolutely critical.
Okay, so how does that data actually, spin the flywheel? How does it connect to everything else they do?
Well, that rich transactional history, it directly informs Mercado Crédito.
The credit arm.
Right. It allows them to offer highly tailored credit lines So, for example, a seller might get offered working capital, maybe a loan to buy more inventory.
Okay.
That credit can then be used naturally to purchase inventory, which then goes right back onto the Mercado Libre marketplace.
And then they need to sell it.
Exactly. So to get visibility for those new products, sellers can use Mercado as their advertising platform. And it's super effective because it leverages that exact same rich first-party data from the whole ecosystem.
It all loops back.
It all loops back. And then, of course, the products are often shipped using Mercado Envios, their own logistics network.
So it's this incredibly tight, interconnected loop. It's not just like separate services operating nearby. Our sources call it a highly optimized system.
That's the perfect description. And they even mention a double layer of integration, particularly between logistics and payments.
What does that achieve?
It creates incredible platform stickiness for both buyers and sellers. Once you're kind of inside that loop, it becomes so efficient, so beneficial, it's actually very hard to leave.
Right. The convenience factor becomes huge. Now let's talk about Mercado Pago's evolution. It started inside as a necessity, but it's clearly become this giant in its own right. What was the key turning point, that critical shift?
I think the crucial evolution, the real game changer, was when Mercado Pago moved beyond just facilitating payments inside the Mercado Libre marketplace.
Okay.
It started allowing payments outside the platform entirely. First, it was for independent websites, other online stores, and then, really significantly, in physical stores, bricks and mortar retail.
That's a massive expansion,
Yeah.
essentially becoming its own separate business line.
Pretty much, yeah. And the financial evidence for its standalone dominance is, well, it's really compelling. Just look at the numbers for the full year 2024.
Okay.
Mercado Pago's total payment volume, or TPV, that's the total value of all payments it processed, reached a staggering $197 billion.
Wow. $197 billion.
Yeah. But compare that to the core e-commerce marketplaces, gross merchandise value, GMV, the total value of goods sold on the platform. That was $51.5 billion.
Okay, so $197 billion in payments versus $51.5 billion in goods sold on the main site. That's a huge difference. What does that tell us?
That stark difference is absolutely key. It proves pretty definitively that the off-platform business is now the primary driver of TPV.
Right.
It truly makes Mercado Pago a financial services company in its own right. It's not just an add-on to the e-commerce site anymore. It's a standalone financial powerhouse.
So if it's this standalone financial giant, how exactly does it make money? What are the key engines of profitability for Mercado Pago?
Well, it's definitely a multifaceted approach. First up, there's the straightforward payment processing.
Okay.
They earn revenue through payment gateway fees. That's for transactions both on the marketplace and, crucially, off the marketplace.
So that includes the physical stores, too?
Absolutely. This includes payments facilitated using their POS devices, the point-of-sale card readers, as well as QR codes, simple payment links, and even advanced checkout APIs for bigger online merchants.
Got it. And then there's the credit side. Mercado Credito, which you mentioned, spins off that flywheel data.
Yes, and this is a very significant revenue stream. They offer credit lines to online merchants, to those POS users in physical stores, and even directly to buyers, both on and off the marketplace.
Like financing options for shoppers.
Exactly. A key offering there is their buy now, pay later, or BNPL option. And what's really crucial for merchants using this is that Mercado Pago actually handles the credit risk.
Oh, that's big for a small business.
Huge. They get the full transaction amount up front, peace of mind. And the numbers here really speak for themselves. For Q4 2024, their credit portfolio grew, get this, 74% year over year.
74%.
Yeah, reaching $6.6 billion. That's massive acceleration.
That's incredible growth. And you also mentioned they have a digital wallet and asset management piece. That sounds like a clever way to generate capital.
It is very clever. This is the remunerated account feature. Basically, it pays interest on funds that users deposit into their Mercado Pago wallet.
Like a savings account.
Sort of, but with immediate liquidity, which is a big draw for users. Strategically, though, what this does is create this large pool of low-cost capital, sometimes called a float, and the company then leverages that float for its lending activities and other financial businesses. It's a highly profitable model using user funds, essentially, to generate even more revenue.
Smart. So putting this in context, what does the fintech side look like overall for Mercado Libre's finances?
Substantial. For the full year 2024, fintech net revenue alone hit $8.6 billion.
Wow.
Which was a 24.8% increase year over year. That represents a really significant chunk of the company's total revenue, which was $21 billion overall. And get this, their fintech services had 61 million monthly active users.
61 million. Okay.
Yeah.
So with all these intertwined services, the flywheel, the huge numbers, it sounds like they've built a really strong defensive position.
Yes.
How would you describe their competitive moat? How does Mercado Pago manage to stay ahead?
Well, it really starts with that vertical integration advantage we talked about earlier. Unlike, say, Amazon, which is more of a global hyperscaler trying to apply one model everywhere,
Hmm.
Mercado Libre is truly a regional specialist. They built their own payments, logistics, credit systems specifically to solve fragmented infrastructure problems that are just inherent in Latin America.
Right.
This creates this incredibly deeply integrated system that is just fundamentally difficult for competitors to replicate. Because anyone else coming in would have to build all these complex, interdependent pieces from scratch and tailor them specifically to the region's unique challenges.
And that vertical integration, I assume, ties directly into their data-driven advantage, particularly for credit.
Absolutely. They leverage just vast amounts of proprietary transactional data nobody else has to build these incredibly sophisticated AI-driven credit models.
So that's their edge over traditional banks.
That's a huge edge. Traditional banks in the region often lack reliable credit histories for a large portion of the population. But Mercado Pago, because it sees the actual payment flows, can assess risk and offer precisely tailored credit lines to both consumers and merchants who might otherwise be completely unbanked or underserved.
Wow.
And our sources even give a specific example. They integrated employment data from some partners, and that alone led to a 20% increase in the assigned credit line amount for some users. That's a real-world impact driving financial inclusion.
That's powerful. They're also clearly doing a lot to acquire and retain users off-platform, not just relying on the marketplace traffic. What's the strategy there?
Yeah, it's all about making Mercado Pago the default payment method everywhere. Their diverse services, like those portable POS devices, QR codes, simple payment links, these allow Mercado Pago to be the easy default payment solution for a huge range of businesses. From large e-commerce sites right down to small informal vendors selling stuff on the street.
Making it ubiquitous.
Exactly. And then they have these strategic developer and partner programs, things like checkout bricks, APIs.
Right, the application programming interfaces, like digital bridges between software.
Precisely.
Okay.
And SDKs, the software development kits, which are toolkits for building apps. These things make it super simple for external platforms. Think Shopify, WooCommerce, Wix, to integrate Mercado Pago seamlessly.
Expanding their reach indirectly.
Hugely expanding their reach. They mentioned a partnership with TikTok, for instance, which resulted in a 2x increase in new users signing up for Mercado Pago, and interestingly, a 20% reduction in customer acquisition costs. It's a really smart, multi-pronged approach to getting users and, crucially, keeping them locked in.
Okay, this sounds like a truly formidable competitive position, but, no company operates in a vacuum. What does the competitive landscape actually look like for Mercado Pago right now? Who are they really battling against?
Well, there are probably two main battles to keep an eye on. First, there's the ongoing one with the global giant Amazon.
Right.
And here, Mercado Libre's vertically integrated model, and again, its deep understanding of the region's localized challenges, things like the tricky logistics, the financial inclusion gaps, that's really allowed it to outperform Amazon consistently in Latin America.
Is there data on that?
Yeah, for instance, Mercado Libre's digital advertising business, Mercado Ads, is projected to grow by something like 44.5% in 2024. Amazon's ad growth in the region is projected closer to 29.4%. It really shows how their local focus and integrated model are paying off, even against a behemoth like Amazon.
Interesting. And then shifting focus slightly, in the pure fintech space, they're up against Nubank, right? Which is also a massive player in Latin America.
Nubank is definitely a formidable challenger, no question. Now, while Nubank maybe had a bit of a head start in lending, particularly in Brazil, Mercado Pago is scaling aggressively. In fact, according to the sources, it's already the largest fintech player by monthly active users in Argentina, Mexico, and Chile, and it's the second largest in Brazil, right behind Nubank.
So neck and neck in Brazil, leading elsewhere.
Pretty much. And both companies are heavily leveraging those AI-driven credit models and offering low-cost digital banking services. So it's a really fascinating high-stakes competition shaping up in the financial sector there. Definitely one to watch.
Okay, so to kind of bring this all together then, what does this deep dive really tell us about Mercado Pago's strategic importance for the whole Mercado Libre empire? It's clearly, as you said, way more than just a payment button.
Yeah, I think it tells us pretty unequivocally that Mercado Pago is not just a service within Mercado Libre. It is its strategic core, its evolution, its transformation into this full stack financial services platform is arguably the single most important factor driving Mercado Libre's overall market dominance and its sustained profitability.
So the key takeaways then really emphasize how Mercado Pago built these incredibly durable competitive moats, specifically by tackling those fundamental infrastructure and trust issues that were unique to Latin America.
Absolutely. That foundational work combined with the incredibly powerful flywheel effect that just binds all their business units together.
Right.
And then you add the significant and rapidly growing revenue from its off-platform business. It all combines to form this incredibly robust and frankly highly defensible business model.
It really is a powerful story. How a company essentially built solutions for specific regional problems. And in doing that, kind of accidentally or maybe strategically all along, transformed itself into this multi-billion-dollar financial powerhouse that now deeply impacts daily life for tens of millions of people. It really makes you consider the broader impact of these kinds of vertically integrated, data-driven platforms, especially in emerging markets, how they can transform financial access, economic opportunity. It leaves you wondering, how might this unique model continue to redefine the landscape of digital commerce and finance, not just in Latin America, but could it inspire similar innovations across the globe? Something